Today I want to get started with crafting some machines because I feel like we've kind of reached that point where if we don't get started with machines soon, then we're going to be left behind really badly. So I'm going to go ahead and jump down into the base and take just a little bit of an account on what I have, because I have a very specific set of things that I need to create for my machines. And the base is still a work in progress. I will hopefully get this first chunk sorted out with the flooring done as soon as possible, as well as finish up the smeltery. Probably do that off camera because that's a lot of grunt work. But this is what I have on hand right now. It's quite a lot. 20 blocks of copper, 11 blocks of tin, 5 blocks of iron, and then assorted ingots, a whole stack of redstone, and then some 51 lapis lazuli. And I want to essentially create a leadstone energy cell today, and that's very cheap when you really think about it. I'm going to hook it up to this generator for now until I get a better system worked out. What I want to do is create a system of what are they called? Magmatic dynamos, I think is what they're called. Magmatic dynamo. These are fairly expensive, but they convert lava into power, which is pretty good. You can see you can make one pretty well, or pretty cheaply. Invar is not too expensive to make, but I don't want to make it until I get a pulverizer created to make the blend, because when you make pulverized ferrous and you put it in a pulverizer, there's a 100% chance of getting two of the dust. So that's what I want to do. So essentially what my plan is today is build a leadstone energy cell and then build a pulverizer, which is this thing here. It's not too expensive. Copper gears and then a basic machine frame, which is mostly just tin and glass, so not super expensive. And then as we move on, I'm going to get a redstone furnace, like that. It's not too expensive either. It's going to cost a little bit of gold, but yeah, not too expensive. And then once I get those two machines, I'm going to start working on getting my magmatic dynamos set up. And to work with the magmatic dynamo, what my setup is going to be 2 ender tanks, which are these things here. Not super expensive. I will have to make ender pearls though. 2 ender tanks that will be hooked up to a pump. One of them will be hooked up to a pump, and that pump is going to be pulling lava from underground lava pits that I find, and then it's going to pool all of that lava in and essentially put it into the second ender tank, which will and then deposit it into the magmatic dynamo, which will create power, and there we go. Basically AFK power. There are better methods of doing it, I know, using a forestry multi-farm or using the mine factory harvesters and planters, but I find that the lava method is pretty good. The only thing is you will have to move pumps around whenever you run out of lava. If I could get a chunk loader running in the Nether, but I feel like that's kind of a waste of resources. But anyways, I need lead, so to make a leadstone energy cell, which is going to be the main focus of this video. Oh, let's try not to hit the mic. Anyways, so I need to make the frame, which only costs 4 lead ingots and then a block of redstone and then 4 things of glass. So I'm going to go get some sand, turn that into glass. I'll just throw it in the smeltery, won't be too expensive. And then from there I'll get a leadstone energy cell, I'll hook that into, the thingy, forgot what it's called. Leadstone energy cell, hook that into the survivalist engine, and then create power. And I want to test out the efficiency of a redstone furnace, because what I want to start doing is getting my planted a white mushroom, by the way. What I want to start doing is seeing if I can go get wood, because I've got a large supply of wood, convert it into charcoal, and then plug it into a survivalist engine. Obviously, that's not going to be the best way to produce charcoal power. The best way is to use steam dynamos, these things here, and they're cheaper than lava or magmatic dynamos, but they have different requirements. It requires water and charcoal, and there are ways you can essentially hook it up using a forestry multi-farm. But at the moment, I don't have the gear necessary to do a forestry multi-farm, so I'm not going to mess about with that. I am going to create lead that I'm going to need to make this energy cell. And this is going to be a temporary setup. What I want to do is create a dedicated power room right behind this wall over here. And that power room will just power all of the machines. I'll have it hooked up to a power converter, which will convert it from redstone flux into energy units for, what is it called? Industrial craft. And then from EU back to RF. So basically I won't have to mess around with creating EU producers, though I probably will anyways. Industrial craft is very strange energy production methods. And I can't remember how much glass you get from a piece of sand. I'm pretty sure you get 1 glass from 1 sand. In which case, then this exchange rate will not be... I got too much sand for this exchange. I need to make the leadstone energy cell. So the frame, and then to make the actual cell, you surround it with electrum. So let's go make, first of all, a block of redstone. I really like how this connects right up to the chest. That is super useful. So a block of redstone, and then electrum, which I can actually make in the smelter. It requires 1 piece of silver and 1 piece of gold. So if I come over here, I hope I have some gold in here. Okay, I don't have any gold in there. Alright, so I do get 1 glass per 1 piece of sand. So that's a pretty good exchange. And I need 4. Alright, so let's run back to the old base and see if there's any gold that I left there. I guarantee there's probably a little bit. Probably not much, but hopefully some. Anyways, what else? So that is basically going to be my power plan. A lot of people would just say build a reactor that would basically create tons and tons of RF per tick, and you'd basically be set for the entire game. But I just feel like that's kind of an easy thing. Some other people might say I could use solar panels, but I feel like solar panels are extremely boring methods of power, albeit very efficient. There's my gold. And I have tons and tons of copper. Do I have any ferrous? Not Ferris Bueller there. Lead. Silver. Okay, more lead is good. Silver. Be very appreciated. And I'll refine this all down later. There's a block of iron. Okay, piece of lead. Alright, sounds good. So I got everything that I need to set this up. Anyways, what happens if you hit a piece of dirt with a chisel? Nothing. I did make some tools off camera, by the way. I created this alumite chisel, and I created this alumite excavator. Both tools are fairly useful. I used the chisel for the smeltery. It'll convert seared stone into seared brick, and I won't have to create tons and tons of seared bricks. The excavator does essentially the same thing as the hammer, except with dirt. So that saves me time when clearing out large expanses of dirt. So I'm just going to throw all this in here to be refined at another day. Hopefully. So I need 1 gold ingot and 1 silver ingot. In this case, I'll be using gold ore and silver and a silver ingot. Alright. I'll have all of the glass, I'll have all of the lead, I'll have the redstone block, I'll have everything that I need to create this energy cell. Which is good. But yeah, for now I'm mainly going to be using survivalist engines just to produce some early game power. Okay, the silver melted, I didn't see it. Right, and now I have molten electrum, 2 ingots of molten electrum. That's on bottom, right? Yeah. Okay, so I only need 1. But that's fine, so I don't even need that to do that. So I'm going to need 2 pieces of redstone and then 3 pieces of copper. I know I have tons of copper in this chest. So anyways, let's go ahead and construct this frame. That goes there. You stick the lead, and then you get the frame. Now we need 2 pieces of redstone like that. Grab our electrum, and we get a is it conductance? Just make sure. Yep. So we get that, and then we need, what else do we need? Whoops. Okay, 3 pieces of copper. So I'll break down a block. So, how did it go? Like that. Alright, that goes there. Awesome. And that'll store 400,000 redstone flux. Okay, and I'll just hook that directly up to the system. Don't know if it'll input that way or what, but I think I can just put a piece of oak wood in there. Alright, and this is receiving RF. Great. So that's perfect. It receives it. Of course, this is just oak wood, so it's not going to create tons and tons of power. If I were to put in a piece of coal, it would probably burn a lot longer. But yeah, so now I have some basic redstone flux power. However, I'm going to use that power to create a pulverizer, which is this thingy right here. Fairly cheap. Right, I am going to use that ingot of gold that's in there to make it. So, gold ingot 1. Stick that in there. Right, the machine frame is basically going to be all tin. Tin and 4 pieces of glass. So, 4 pieces of glass are in there. Got my gold. I need to dump this inventory, but can't do that right now. Okay, and 4 pieces of iron. If I do remember correctly, yeah, it's just 4 pieces of tin surrounding a ingot of iron. And then the copper gear is the same thing. 4 pieces of copper surrounding an ingot of iron. And then 2 pieces of flint, which I think I don't have. Do I? I mean, I don't even know if I have any gravel. So that might be an issue, because I don't want to run all the way back to the old base. I don't think I have much of a choice, though. Oh, there's gravel here. What am I doing? Alright, there's 1. And there's a shitload of it. Alright, cool. 5 pieces of flint. Way more than I needed, but I'm not complaining. Right, so I'll get my glass. I've already got tons of tin refined. I did a bunch of refining while off camera. Okay, that's going to turn into glass. Clear glass. I actually like the Tinker's Construct glass because it has connected textures. So, not much to say besides that. Right, cool. So great, we've got exactly what we need to make the machine frame. So we'll start out with the gear, which is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 to get a tin gear, and then blam, 4 glass, and 4 iron. We get a basic machine frame. I'm going to go ahead and convert this block of iron into ingots. Alright, so now we need to make our copper gears, which is going to essentially just be 1, 2, right, and then we surround that with copper to get 2 copper gears. Okay, now our redstone reception coil, and then ingot of iron, or gold, not iron, and finally we're going to need to make a piston, which don't have any planks on me. Shame on me for not having planks. Iron ingots, and then cobblestone, piece of redstone, cobble, piston. Alright, I'll just go ahead and drop that there. Right, there's the machine frame, copper gear, and the redstone reception coil. There we go, we get a basic pulverizer. Now we can run over back to our current setup over here and hook that to the leadstone energy cell. This is still getting power. You can see that the coal drastically adds on to the power. Alright, so I believe if we set this to input power, I think that's blue. It's not input, that's solid, and that should be input, and then we have to make this output. Okay, that's not output. That must be output. Yeah, so this thing is constantly gaining redstone flux now. Alright, so this is going to be utilizing 40 redstone flux per tick. I can, of course, upgrade that to make it more efficient or faster. Okay. Of course, it's going to be quite slow because it's drawing from one generator. The generator can only produce as quickly as it can. Once I get a magmatic dynamo going, it's basically going to be double, maybe triple the speed of this generator, and it's going to basically make it so that I won't even need this anymore. There's water above me. That's going to piss me off a lot. Not much I can do about that. Steam dynamos are also much faster compared to this, but that's still going to take some time to get to. However, I am going to go ahead and get a little bit of some stuff set up for a little bit more advanced power systems, because I basically have all of the gear that I need to start working with stuff like magmatic dynamos and a redstone furnace. So I can basically probably make this survivalist generator completely useless by the end of the day. It is going to take a little bit of time, and it's going to be very expensive on resources, but hey, what are resources if you can't use them? So, alright, let me think. If we're going to be setting up a new, or a better power system, we're probably going to be either lava. Lava would take a little bit more time, because we have to also make a pump, which is this thing. That's not expensive, but you know, it's going to take some time. Right, we're also going to need a redstone engine. Redstone engine. Not super expensive either. Right, we're also going to need 2 ender tanks, these things here, which is going to be fairly expensive because it's going to be 8 times 4 is 32. It's basically going to be an entire stack of glowstone dust being used to make a blaze rod. And I'm also going to need a good bit of obsidian and wool. Not to mention the fact that I'm going to need a lot of stuff to make these ender pearls. Like, look at this. I'm going to need even more glowstone dust and nether quartz. So, yeah, lava is going to be a little bit more expensive, but it's going to be very well worth it, I believe. Probably a lot of you guys are going to be disagreeing with me, saying lava is not going to be nearly as efficient as setting up just a permanent steam setup using just a forestry multi-farm and running that. But I mean, well, it's something to experiment. This whole mod pack is just a big experiment. So we will definitely try out different types of power this is just early game stuff, just to give you an idea of what is to come. So, hopefully that gives you an idea of what's going to be happening next in future adventures. And yeah,